Hey, it's Darren with day 29. This is starting to get interesting, and some wild things have been happening that just kind of like give you the hint or the idea you're on the right path. So I really like hearing that. Goodwill Hunting. I was watching a special the other night, and I think it was a bio on Ben Affleck, and I had known or heard that he wrote it, but it was just really interesting hearing about that project and that he got together with Matt Damon, and this was kind of like the big break for them, as well as they wrote it. So that was cool and encouraging and funny that I would just kind of be flipping through the channels to wind down one night and boom, here's this story. So today, day 29, 19 minutes. Not a great deal of time, but I feel like I made some good progress. For one thing, I was reading more of the book on adaptation, and probably won't be able to see it, but what was really cool was seeing Linda lay out the fact that sequence of events is different in a film versus in the book. So she actually diagnosed, kind of dissected the film Stand By Me and talked about the difference between the book and the sequence of events and the film and the sequence of events. And it seems that in film you really need that crescendo, that climax, and it really seems to be important to pull it all together, not so much in a book. So that's interesting. And for me in writing this, part of my challenge is my desire line was when I was driving down the road listening to Brian Tracy, and he said, "What would you dare to dream if you knew you wouldn't fail?" And I thought, I'd make people laugh and earn a living at that. So I didn't really think comedian. Well, I guess I did say comedian, but my second thought was, how cool would it be to make people laugh and earn a living at that? And I just thought that meant comedian. So I guess I really winning the championship was a great crescendo or climax, but the desire line wasn't actually achieved until later on, when a month later when I actually quit Bose to do it full time. So I'm not sure how that is going to come into play. But this was interesting knowing that I may actually have to change the sequence of events in film and maybe make the decision to quit Bose right at the World Championship. I don't know. We'll see. The other thing that you can see this big poster board behind me. Pick that up and Office Max, because I'm a visual person, and if you've ever seen The Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell, when I went to the summit with the screenwriters, there's a gentleman there named Christopher Vogler, and he used to read scripts for Disney. And so he was teaching part of the class. That I'm so glad I went to this summit with all these different experts, because they really gave me different angles and I pulled away different things from each of them. So because I'm a visual learner, I realized that I need a big visual. And the hero's journey, when he was describing it, so you start up here in the the hero starts up here and actually goes counterclockwise, starts up here in the real world and then enters the underworld, and this is part of myth. So I'm excited to go back and learn more about this as well. And a mentor takes them down, and then a death happens, or a death of a dream or ordeal or a rebirth, and then comes out of the underworld back to the real world, but now the character is changed or the wound is healed. So I've been struggling in my brain. I've been thinking about, first my mentor Vinny, which took me partially into the underworld, if you will, and then Dave Fitzgerald, and then Mark Brown. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do that in terms of telling the story, if it will be Vinny and then Dave and then Mark, or if it's just going to be Vinny and Dave over here and then Mark for this arc. So anyway, we'll be fascinated to see how it turns out. But I made this big visual, and I actually penned out the hero's journey, so it's faint and in the background, but I'm going to start using post-it notes and start structuring it, and put on post-it notes and black Sharpie, so I actually can write my story over that. And by the way, how do you make a big circle when you don't have a big circle to trace and you need it the right size? You use a lanyard from a conference, and I tied it to make it the right distance to be able to put the pen. I used the pen. Put a pen in. Oh, actually, this is what I did. Put the pen in the holder and stuck my finger in the middle and drew the circle that way. But I tied it off to make sure it was the right distance. Just a little art and craft tip in case you're wondering. So I feel like even though I didn't spend a lot of time today, that I made big progress, because I had in my head that I wanted the big visual and been wondering about the whole mentors and how much a part of the story they are. So I feel like I made good progress today. How about you? How do you feel about your progress? Are you making progress? Is the Catholic guilt that I learned how to throw from my mom affecting you? But bottom line is, you are the CEO of your dream, and anyone can tell you you shouldn't do it, you can't do it, but just go do it. And I remember at Bose Corporation, I had above my desk the quotes by Vincent van Gogh, and he said, if there is a voice inside you that says you are not a painter, then by all means paint, and that voice will be silenced. So grab a brush, start painting. Commit to your dream. Stage time.